It's not a pleasant experience, but you have to learn how to deal with it day to day just to survive. I was in the Air Force, and I went in when I was 20. Went through Texas, went through basic training at Lackland, San Antonio. Went to the tech school, Wichita Falls, Texas, for electric power production, but they didn't have that overseas in Germany, so the Air Force, they'll give you another job. Well, my experience as a homeless veteran, I was living with an elder that I knew from the church in Millport up in Darby, and we were doing ministry. I lived with him 4.5 years, and he didn't keep the property up, and the borough shut it down, and everybody was down on the street. And I learned where to get things, where to eat, what time to feed, where to take a shower, where to get clean clothes, toiletries, learned where to sleep at. Sometimes I had to go down to the airport. Met a couple of people I knew. We were hanging together, and God just made a way. And then I met a disabled man through another buddy of mine, lives at 26 in Poplar, and he would let me come over the weekends and visit, clean, whatever. And then he took a liking to me, and the supervisor, he was under the staff, and I started staying there for 3 years until I got my veterans apartment through Project Home. Only the people who, how the people treat the homeless is what makes it dark and cold. It's not so much the situation of homeless, it's how the people and the environment around them, how they're treated. Well, I feel the public, they don't understand the homeless because most of them have never been homeless. So they have the homeless people stereotyped as drug addicts or criminals, rapists, and a lot of them, they say they want to be homeless, but that's not true. Everybody's situation is different. A lot of the homeless, some of them are not on drugs, they're not alcohol, they're not criminals. Some of them, things happen, circumstances that made them homeless. I've been with this organization 11 years. Right now, we're dealing with displacement without development, where the developers come into poor and low-income neighborhoods, and they build condominiums and raise the property value and move the homeowners who've been there for years out the neighborhood. It's called regentrification. So right now, we're fighting to stop that process. They raise the property value where nobody can afford to live there that are low in income. Well, if they're homeless and a veteran, they can go to the VA hospital on the 8th floor. It's called HUD-VASH. They help veterans in places. They can go to Project Home, 1515 Fairmount. They have a veterans program. They have some places that are like veteran shelters where the veterans can stay off the street. And if they're just homeless, they can go to St. John Hospice. They stay there, then they help them find a place, through other agencies. They can go to Broad Street Ministries. They have a lot of social social information there that can help the homeless find a place. They can go to, like I said, Project Home also. And, there's very places that tell them where they can get food and clothing and toiletries and things to sustain them while they're on the street. Some of the homeless, they moved them to this location somewhere by, I'm trying to think the exact location. They put them, it's over there off of Spring Garden, and it was in this building they put them in to stay, and some of the homeless, they put them in, like Broad Street Ministries open up, and St. John's Hospital Sunday breakfast. For employment, they have some temporary agencies, some in Center City. One is called AccuTemp here at 1515 Market. The other one is Best Temp Agency there at the Land Title Building at 100 South Broad Street. If they have any experience in whatever experience, then they can go to places that they can go. If they know how to use a computer, they can go on the internet, and they have locations of different jobs if they have a specific experience in a certain job. Or they can, look in the paper. Some places they have training. They'll train you for a job, and they have ads in the newspaper.
We've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Yeah, mother. Oh, that's it. Say it loud. I'm black and we're proud. Say it loud.
Say it loud.
I'm black and we're proud. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud.
Hey,
Say it loud.
welcome to another
I'm
evening
black and
of
I'm proud.
Voices of Reason's Veteran Affairs. As you can see, I'm sitting here with a distinguished panel of brothers, and we are all have a special bond. And that bond is we've all served our country. Some of us in non-war time, some of us were deep in the heart of the bush. Let me introduce our panel first. First on here to my immediate left, we got King of the Oldies, Ali Hackett, U.S. Air Force. James L. Dennis Jr., U.S. Army. And William Smoke Howard, U.S. Army. My name is Mark Abrams, and I was in the United States Navy, and I'm probably the youngest of the bunch. And it's ironic that we're going to go down this panel and we're going to talk about our various experiences, but we just had the pleasure of witnessing a video that was produced by our producer, Karen Walker. Mm-hmm. And it's about veterans' homelessness. It was a brother named Tyrone that had a real interesting story about coming out of the Vietnam War and becoming a Vietnam veteran homeless. So let me give you some statistics. In Philadelphia in 2017, there were 244 homeless veterans, sheltered 204, unsheltered 40 in the country. Another statistic reported nearly 550,000 homeless vets overall nationwide. What are your thoughts about homelessness in a veteran population? Let me come to you first, Ali.
Well, I feel that there's absolutely no reason whatsoever to have a veteran homeless. I don't feel that there's any excuse, any reason why it should be at all. Right. Anybody who volunteered or was drafted to go in and fight for the country should not be in a position where they have to find some place to sleep, like under bridges, and scrap for food. That is just totally, I just can't wrap my mind around that. So I don't think it should ever have happened.
And it's ironic, Ali just led us into a great poignant situation. We as minority black men from the U.S. military, he has a heartfelt view on why he said that. But, and eventually we'll get to why he said it that way. A lot of us that came from any version, any ranking in the U.S. military, we don't feel we were treated with the respect we got going in. Going in, we were like the king of the world until you came out. And I think the one that's going to tell the deepest story about that is the brother we have on the end that actually served in Vietnam. But next I'm going to go to my man James L. What do you think about veteran homelessness? What is your views on that whole situation?
I was fortunate to not be a homeless person, probably due to, we had a lot of opportunities coming out of the service with the GI Bill, different things like that you could get involved with, and I did. I got involved, and I went to school, Antonelli Professional School of Photography. I was doing things, so that probably prevented me or stopped me from being one of the homeless. And to see them, not just the military homeless, but the just homeless people, because I see them all the time when I'm out there driving. It's a disgrace.
Yep.
It's not good. It makes us look negligent.
Right. Mr. Howard, what's your views?
Well, to me, it's I'm like Ali. It doesn't make sense for the richest country in the world to have the people that serve to keep the people here safe homeless.
Right.
Never should happen. But we know that when I came back, the expectations that I had were not met. That I thought I was going to be greeted.
Right. You just fought a big ass war,
Right.
and you should be the man.
I thought it would be better accepted.
Right.
And I had certain things to get over mentally.
Right.
Now, I've ran across some brothers that actually chose to be homeless. And I'm like, why? You have family? Yes. But the family didn't understand. They were more comfortable with sleeping under a bridge and not having to answer questions. Why did you kill this person, or why did you have to go? Why didn't you go to Canada or somewhere? Get out of it. Everybody didn't have those choices.
Right.
True.
Right.
Very true.
Different circumstances. But I just don't think that America should ever have any of their veterans homeless. It just doesn't make sense.
I agree with you, brother. And it's so funny, I think, when we look at the Vietnam War, that's the war they said we quote unquote lost. And they took that loss out on all the soldiers that came back from fighting that war.
Yes.
Right. Treated them like crap. Thus was probably happening to Brother Tyrone. He got caught up in that, and like you said, I had the fortune of living out in Washington State for the longest, and a lot of those vets chose to go up in the hills and just totally separate themselves from society because they were so bummed at the way they were treated coming home from fighting a war. And the things we saw as young men going into the military was unbelievable.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
we'll get towards that towards the latter part of this show, but a lot of us, all of us have problems sleeping. All of us has issues.
Yeah.
We're in varying ages, but close enough. How in the world are we remembering in detail the things we did in the military when we went in our teens? I can remember my military days, but I can remember last week. That's
Absolutely.
how deeply entrenched that stuff was in our system. And you Smoke, when you going in, you were going in when it was like semi-honorable. You were going in to fight for the country, and nowhere in the world you should have been treated like that coming back.
I don't know, and I'm just taking your statement here, honorable. I don't know, I think politically speaking, that word is accepted. But I don't know if it was ever honorable to go in and fight, especially the black guys,
Right.
to fight a war that we did not create, that we had no, as you know, I got the name Ali from Muhammad Ali. I lived with him, so therefore I shared a lot of his views. And his whole thing was, why should I go 9 million miles and fight people who, one, haven't done anything to me and have not treated me the way I'm treated here?
Right.
As you remember in the movie and in his life story, when he was coming out of court, he said, why should I go fight somebody over there who hasn't done anything to me when you won't stand up for me right here in my own quote unquote country?
There you have it.
So that's why I say the word honorable is a little bit skeptical. Yes, I went in, I did the salute, I took the oath, put my hand over my heart, and I did what I was supposed to do. But that doesn't mean back here in my mind there was some controversy going on.
There you have it.
And it was all brought to the forefront once I got honorably discharged.
Correct.
And came home. And not, I mean, I didn't expect ribbons and a parade. I didn't expect that. That's unrealistic. But what I did expect was equal treatment and being respected as a human being.
But the thing that it is, and we understand better now that we've had some time between the service and now, they didn't understand. If you're not there, you don't
That's
understand.
true.
They expect you to come back the way you went over there. No way it happens.
No,
That's right.
absolutely
There's
not.
no way you go into a war situation like that. It's live or die situation. See people die in front of you. See people get wounded in front of you, and you come back the same.
Right.
So when you walk in that front door and you get those hugs and kisses and stuff, and you go to sleep and you start having those nightmares, and you're waking up and you look at the people funny and they're like, "You changed, man." Of course you've changed.
Sure.
You've changed because you had to either change and try to exist every day, or
Die.
die.
That's right.
Right.
And you know, it's funny because I saw people that were actually sent over there. They would actually have what they call ready-made sergeants or officers. And I
Come take over your.
come in, they send them to officer school, whatever they had to do, and they come straight to Vietnam. Now, we've been over there for 6 months, whatever.
Right.
We know they don't know what they're doing. But they come in, and this actually happened to my unit. And I mean, really didn't know what they was doing, and we got hit. Now we getting hit, and the one that's been over there for 2 weeks gets blown away. They didn't know what they were doing. They're not off. You have to have experience on how to stay alive. And when I got there, I stuck with those guys that was there before me because they knew what they were doing.
And they showed you the
And
ropes.
they absolutely,
Kept you alive.
Absolutely.
Brought you back home.
absolutely.
Now, it's funny, man, you know, one of the questions our producer asked was, we relating back to Tyrone with the home. Ali threw out a word called honorable, you know, and Smoke, you and I have had a conversation about that same theory when guys wanted to give you a Purple Heart, you know. William Smoke Howard received a Purple Heart.
And
And
deserves a nice round of applause.
that,
man.
but yeah, it does.
Deserves a nice round of applause.
But I just had a conversation with Smoke about that Purple Heart, and I understood what he said. From this end, from public end, it's an honorable theory to receive a Purple Heart, a commendation for being wounded.
Right.
But we all know that the Purple Heart that Smoke received, he told me was a cover-up for a screw-up that they made that got somebody killed.
Absolutely.
So when they first told him he was getting a Purple Heart, he was pissed. Why the hell you gonna reward me for you guys screwing up something that got a guy killed?
When we ask you, the people in charge that we trust to make the decisions, we know that between our place where it is our home for a year and that village over there that's about 300 or 400 yards out, between us and our bunkers that we guard that place, there's 6-foot ditches that run up to the village. We know if somebody's gonna come into our compound, how they get there.
Yeah.
All we want to do was just fill them in. We asked for heavy equipment to fill them in. They said no. We said, can we fill them in by hand? They said no. That's how we got hit. That's how we got hit. That's how the people got wounded and killed. Now, you know.
Because them not knowing to make the right decision to save your life.
Right.
And then after that, you want to come in and give me a Purple Heart? That's fine. But hey, what is this for? This for you? Now, you know, I don't like to so angry like that. But is it for you? But I was so angry when I found out that for my people that was there with me one got killed and a couple got wounded. Unnecessary. And we had asked, and then the lieutenant or the colonel, whoever it was, I forget who it was, came up to me and said, well, Sergeant, you get this Purple. I said, I don't want it. You can keep it. So my sergeant major said, Howard, you really need to settle down and just be a soldier. He pulled me to the side.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did what a soldier's supposed to do.
You got
I
to look
let it
good in
go.
Stars and Stripes, brother. You can't got to
Exactly.
get Stars and Stripes. Got to look good for you. You got
Here-
a newspaper.
It's
I mean, but you know how it is.
Here in
What
Obey.
they gonna do? Send me to Vietnam? I'm already here.
Yeah.
So at that point, I didn't really care. It didn't
I
matter,
hear
it didn't
you.
matter to me.
Follow
So-
orders, hear and obey.
Now that leads up to we going back to
Supposed to do
that
it.
honorable, dishonorable thing. You know, one of the questions was asked about the brother Tyrone was, is there a difference? And I think we are leading up to this theory. She was saying, do you think Tyrone became homeless because he was dishonorably discharged?
I don't really think that has anything to do with it.
Thank you.
I really don't. I'm going to say 100% no. That has nothing to do with it.
Right.
Honorable or dishonorable. There's guys that I know that are homeless that have honorable discharge.
Right.
And some of them, like Smoke said, chose to be because they did. My opinion only. I'm thinking that when they got back from the war, was what we called it. We got back
Yep.
from the war.
Correct.
The way that they were received and the mental stuff that was going on in their brains was a little too much to deal with
Yeah.
in a family type setting.
Yes.
So they chose to go off by themselves so they could possibly deal with this situation a little bit better. I don't know if they did. I don't know if they resolved themselves from it. All I know is that they're homeless and they should not be. That's my opinion.
I agree, brother. I agree. So that is true. James, what do you think about that? Do you think, does it matter whether they were honorably or dishonorably discharged, whether or not they became a homeless person? Do you think that factored them to be homeless?
I think it's had more to do with fitting in, opportunities. If there, there was, they wasn't getting to the root of this person's problem.
Exactly.
They had problems, and they had no one there to help them with their problems.
Right.
So.
And I think that's a cover up too, James, because they didn't want to admit that the cats had problems.
they
Exactly.
had
Just like
problems.
you said, coming out of the country like that,
Right.
you send a boy in 18 years old,
Yeah.
and he see a cats get blown apart,
Yeah.
guts hanging out, and all you can do is give him morphine to try to keep him calm. He's gonna die.
Right.
And that's what
Exactly.
you're seeing.
Right.
And that
Exactly.
becomes absolutely just crazy.
It does.
But
It does.
I'm gonna switch off and give us a little props here. I want each one of us to take a minute. We're gonna start with Brother Ali. Tell us the branch of service you were in, whether you enlisted, and a couple of your more memorable experiences, good or bad.
Okay. United States Air Force, and I was drafted. I didn't enlist. I actually had a scholarship to go to Arizona State to play baseball. Went out there on a little visit to visit the school, see what it was like, play ball with Reggie Jackson. Came home, was ready to go. You remember back in the day how we used to walk through town during the hot summer days, and they had the TVs in the window.
Sure.
That's when I found out. That's when I found out walking through town one day in Chester when I found out what my draft number was. It was number 20. So my question was, where was I going? I didn't know how to get to Canada. I knew that I disagreed with the war. I knew that.
Right.
So that's how I got into, and of course, my best friend at that time was the recruiter who just lied about everything. And and I'm young and believed him and went in on his word. But, still, I had two different career fields once I got in. One was POL, which is fuels, that fueled up all the planes that flew, the JP4, the JP11, all that kind
Okay.
of stuff there. So I learned that. My second career field was the sports aspect. That's when I got into special service.
Oh,
I
cool.
traveled with the Bob Hope team overseas with the troops. I boxed and I played softball and did that thing there. So I had two. Those were probably the best times. My worst times was one time a lieutenant who just got in, still wet behind the ears. Not that I disrespect any rank, but he told me to pick up a cigarette butt. I said to him, "Sir, I don't smoke, so I'm not going to pick up any cigarette butts." He told me he was going to court-martial me if I didn't pick up the cigarette butt.
Wow.
And I told him, "Sir, you're going to have to do what you have to do. I pick up trash, paper potato chips bags, anything else, but I don't smoke, so I don't put them down there. Anything that I'm willing to put down there, I'll pick it up."
Right.
As it turned out, it got into a very, very ugly situation. My supervisor, who was a master sergeant and probably one of the reddest rednecks you ever want to meet in your life, did not feel that I should be representing the United States when it came to the Olympics. Now, we jumped from that and went to that because that's where it led to, and I'm trying to be very quickly about it. But he prevented me from going to the Olympics because the year before when the Olympics was, Tommy and the guys held up the black hand, and he didn't like that. He didn't like that. So therefore, it was my turn to go into the boxing situation, which we can talk about at another time. But he did not feel it was going. It got to be very ugly. It got to be, just putting it
All
lightly.
over a cigarette butt.
Yes, it got to be very, very
And
ugly.
you disrespected a direct order. You disobeyed a direct order.
Yes, and it was definitely not necessarily about the cigarette butt and the order. It was about me having black skin and being in a white service. That's what it was.
Exactly. Thank you, brother. Brother James, what branch of service you in? Give us a good and a bad.
Okay, I was in the U.S. Army. I was a spec 4. I enlisted in 1973, and I came out in 1975. I guess some of the best times would be when we were off work. You know, it's like a working situation. In the morning, you would go and you would take care of your business, you know, take care of your track and paint, do whatever you're supposed to do. And in the evening, after like 3:30 or 4 o'clock, you get off. And once you get off, you have a chance to do some of the things that you want to do.
Right.
And most of the time, the brothers, the dad, and right on, power check, we all got together.
That's
and
right.
we would do what we do,
Right.
you know, talk about home and what we're going to do when we get out. I guess that, you know, I miss a lot of those brothers because I haven't seen them in so many years, you know, and we really didn't.
They became your
stay
true
in
brothers
touch.
too.
Yeah, that was some of the good. Some of the bad was you know, I did get an Article 15. I did get a couple. Matter of fact, I got a couple of Article 15s.
Being disobedient, brother.
I just had, I was just right on. I was just,
Yep.
I was from the Philadelphia
the black
area.
I was black, you know, and yeah, but you know, when I came into the service, it was like I needed to get away because of the gang war problem in Philly. It was just you couldn't, you know, there's always a threat against your life, or you know, you couldn't go nowhere.
It was a good alternative for you to get off the Philly streets.
Right.
Yes, so that's what made me enlist, because that was, looking back now at the age of 65, I was dumb as hell, because they were, you know, they were killing, y'all were killing, and eye to eye killing, hand to hand combat killing. They were doing a lot of killing over it in Vietnam, and there was a lot going on.
Sure.
And I was, you know, being that I went in 1973, they actually in January stopped sending troops.
So you just escaped it.
God bless me, man. Yes,
Absolutely.
I did.
Glad you
I
didn't. Glad you didn't have
I
to
missed
go.
that. And but the war, we were still training. So the war was still going on.
Right.
But in 2 years, in 75, when I got out, they stopped sending troops.
Okay.
So
you
I
escaped
missed, yes.
You escaped the front
I
line.
got all the stories, you know, but I escaped that eye to eye, that hand to hand thing,
Okay.
you know, that,
Okay.
you know, ducking and dodging, peeping and hiding thing.
There you have it.
know,
There you have
yes. But I just wanted to say one thing. You know, another good thing was my dad. My dad had found me. You know, I was on guard duty, and he had came from Philly to Fort Dix looking for me. I don't know how he got there, or how he
Was
found
he still in
me.
the military?
I was in the military.
Was he still in the military?
No.
Oh, okay.
He found me, and I was at guard duty. I seen this car coming down the road, and I was like, God, that looked like, and it was my dad.
Beautiful.
Beautiful story.
Pull up to find his son.
That's
and
beautiful
he
story.
he found me, because he you know, he gave me, you know, the do's and don'ts. You know, make sure you come home with an honorable discharge. You don't wanna, you know, you don't want to
You
come
don't want that
home
strike
because you
against
got more strikes against you.
Right.
So that's some of the good and the bad.
That's a good one.
Mr. Howard.
Mine sort of evolved. Mine is in and out, the good and the bad. But I remember in high school, my brother going off to Vietnam and my cousin going off to Vietnam, and one of my classmates going off to Vietnam, who was one of the first guys that got killed. He went off, and when the war first started, he was a machine gunner.
Okay.
I don't want to call him names. We called him Freddie, but he got killed in probably when the war first started initially. And I was sitting. I remember hearing the news sitting at Slater High School. So when I finished high school, keep it rolling, I went to Tennessee State University where I majored in foods and nutrition.
Okay.
But I also took ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps. And that has to do with, when you come out, you go in as an officer, you have certain...
You're going to West Point, you're going somewhere, you're
whatever
doing
you
something
want
good.
to do,
Right.
So when I graduated in '68, I decided to take this offer of a school, a specialty school, first time offer called General's Aid, which meant that whoever graduated from there would be working with generals, officers, and their wives and stuff in all kind of different places. Could be a war zone, it might be in Hawaii, it might be wherever, but you'd be doing something. Now, foods and nutrition is my thing. I got a degree in foods and nutrition. We get to the school, I finished at the school, I got the second highest grade in the school, and just before graduation, they grabbed me and took me out. I said, why are you taking me out? We don't have to tell you that. Well, what are you doing? You're going to Vietnam. Now, wait a minute.
Damn.
I'm the only black person there.
In that class?
Only black person in that class, the only person in that class with a college degree, and the second highest score in the class.
So realistically, you're the only one that's officer material, by all accounts.
Right.
I'm not, these are facts. And they took me out and sent me. So what I did was I talked to my sister and went to D.C., and I forget who it was that I went to see, and one of the officers, and I told them what was going on, what I thought about it. And they said, we can't help you. And I said, okay, don't worry about it. But you're sending me over there to try to get me killed. So I went over there. I said, I will be back. And when I get back, I'm going to check into why you guys are doing what you did to me. Went over to Vietnam, and God bless, I got through that. And when I came back, I did try to look into it. Nobody would say anything.
Closed mouth.
Nobody. I don't know what office I went to, they would not say anything about it. But the good things was the camaraderie that you form when you're over there.
Yeah.
Because you looking at my back and I'm looking at your back.
Right.
Brothers.
But you can't live that way for a whole year. You can't. I mean, you live that way for a whole year. But what I'm saying is, you can't live in this little tense. I gotta hide all the time because somebody's gonna kill. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to try to make it a real world type thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So you kind of in and out. And I remember my birthday. I remember celebrating my birthday over there because there's another guy over there that had a birthday the same day as mine. And I think the next few days or so, that's when we got hit. And when I went to that story before, but we lost a few. That's the down thing. The good thing is the people that I saw and the people that I dealt with. When I was over there, because of my education and experience in the food industry,
Right.
I was able to set up my own bakery. The only one over there. The general over there used to send some of his guys down and try to get some pie and cake out of my bakery because I had a bakery in Vietnam.
You go.
I
brother.
set it in the back of the mess hall.
Yeah.
I made me a little room that's so big, and I was doing pies, cakes just for our guys. But when the general heard about it,
Oh yeah, they want to
that
buy
was a
in.
good stuff.
Damn right. That's a big ass
But
treat.
we used to get hit. And I eventually was in charge of the food itself. Every day, every so many weeks or months, we'd have to change when we served breakfast or when we served lunch because they knew, and the people that was working for us was actually spies and came from the villages.
Right.
And they would say, they're going to serve at 5:30 a.m. set your rockets up.
Yeah.
And the
Come
whole
in for
platoon will
pattern.
be in the mess hall,
That's right.
Absolutely.
try to
Pattern.
kill him.
Right.
Yeah,
Pattern.
so because you got a group.
Pattern.
Right.
So you have to kind of change around. You could hear it. You could hear it at certain times. You could hear poof, and it's coming in. You know, you
That's
don't
a
move
mortise.
unless you hear the sound. You know it's coming real close.
That's
that's
right.
the
You got so
mortise.
That's
used
that
to.
artillery
Yeah.
coming in.
That's how the everyday thing goes. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
you
yeah.
get so used to the sounds and what's going to happen, so you know when to panic and when not to panic, or when to run and when not to run. When some stuff, this stuff go off and that ain't going away. You know?
Right.
Well, man, let me tell you about my thing. I thought about it. I'm thinking about everybody's story. Now, none of us knew each other yet at that time.
True.
And I'm thinking about Ali mentioned something about his recruiter. Now, I'm in high school, John Bartram, star athlete football player, about to get a scholarship to college. Recruiter comes in and tells me, well, man, look, you join the service, you could play on our football team. I'm like, yeah? He said, yeah. And our cats go to the NFL. I'm like, yeah? He said, yeah. Okay. My dumb ass go down there and sign up, score high, become a dental personnel, could have been a judge advocate. So this guy told me, man, go ahead to basic training. It's going to be great. And guys, they sit me down. My first time on a long train ride. I'm from Philadelphia. I ain't never been past Atlantic City. I go to boot camp in Orlando, Florida.
All right now.
The cats pick us up. I've been on the train. They giving us all free booze and everything. We had sleeper cars. And when we get to Orlando, there's a big gray Navy school bus and a cat in all whites with the ribbons around him. I'm like, man, this is a sharp dude. And he's talking to us, hey, how was y'all trip, man? We had a ball. We had a good time, man. Get on the bus, man. I'm going to take y'all and show y'all all over Florida. So we ride. He's pointing out stuff. Then he says, all right, man, we about to go into the gate. I said, oh, man, cool. We all hanging out. He goes through the gate and slams on brakes.
Yeah.
We falling for it. Man, what you doing? What's wrong with you? He stands up with a baseball bat and said, you MFers got 30 seconds to get off this bus. The whole world's about to change for you.
And did.
And he closed his eyes and came down there swinging. Cats was diving under the seats, diving out the windows. I'm like, what in the hell I done got myself? We was all partying 20 minutes ago. Now it ain't nothing, you know? But after that, like you said too, you met some of the guys, if you see them today, you'd lend them money. Because that's how tight you were with these cats.
Yeah.
I had relationships with guys that were just unbelievable. That's what got all of us through.
Exactly.
The blacks were
Those
tight
relationships.
Exactly.
in the
They
service.
and the blacks
Exactly.
were
We
tight.
tight,
Camaraderie.
man.
Camaraderie.
If you were anywhere from Philly, Jersey, or Delaware, you hung together because
That's
you
right,
had
man.
something in common.
That's right. That's
And,
right.
and I was from Tennessee.
You were from Bristol,
and
Tennessee.
I met the guys in New York. And I couldn't understand their attitudes about things. Now, this is the black and white thing.
Right.
Now, where I was from, we didn't use the N-word.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
We did not use the N-word. But New York, they use it constantly. And I couldn't understand. Why are you using that? Why you calling me that, man? I couldn't understand that stuff. But it's the different cultures.
It is.
Yep.
But
It is.
we all trying to stay alive.
That's it.
And you're picking up on different things. Now they understand I don't like that. But that's what you do. So you call it, it's just different worlds.
You're learning your cultures, man.
It is.
Yeah.
Mark, I'd like to say one thing. I don't think, here's a good and a bad, but it's a little bit off the topic of what you
Yeah.
were saying. I don't think that I would ever, or I would not have ever recommended to a young black male or female to go into the military. I would not have done that.
Right.
What I will tell you, especially in today's times, it's a place where they can find themselves and get some
Absolutely.
stabilization.
Right.
That's one thing I will tell you that the military will do.
Yes.
It will make you stand up on your own 2 feet, and it will make you be responsible for the things that you say and or do. That's a plus for the military. But as far as a black man going in, I don't, now, I'm 20 years out now, 20, 30 years out.
Yeah.
But it was not the place for a young black man at that time.
Absolutely. We were
Okay.
just coming out of civil rights.
Exactly.
Everything was rough. And I know myself as the youngest guy, when I went in, when I finally got out, there were some things going on in the world. It was peacetime for me, so I never saw war. Like I was telling you guys at the table, my biggest hustle was selling condoms. to the troops that's going into foreign countries, you know, because that's all they did was survey. But brothers, it was a month before my discharge, and there was a world event that happened that I got pulled back in. Now I'm in reserves. I'm in inactive reserves, but I was a dental tech. When Jim Jones went into Guyana and all the people drank the Kool-Aid, they called in the Air Force and the Navy to extract the bodies out of Guyana. I'm a month from getting my honorable discharge papers. I got pulled into Dover Air Force Base and got TDY'd for another 4 months.
Wow.
All I did was identify bodies for 4 months by teeth examined.
Okay.
Wow.
That was the worst experience in my life in military history. I think I went through probably 1,500 bodies. To this day, I don't know men from women,
Okay.
because they laid out in that jungle for a week in tropical climate with TT flies and stuff all over them. We were fully glad wrapped in suits and doing dental examinations on corpses, trying to identify bodies. That was my finale for the military. That's my last knowledge of what I had to do for the service. Prior to that, in the middle ground to that, I was on an aircraft carrier, you know, doing dental exams and, you know, all that such thing. But that last stint never left me. And this is 82 when that happened.
And you know what you just described? The reason why you don't have to be in a war zone to get PTSD.
That's
You
true.
got it, brother.
That's very true.
Because, I mean, even if you have been associated with something, that doesn't mean you have to be carrying a gun around. But
That's
if you're
right.
associated with it, and mentally in your head, you know that could have been you.
Yep.
It's a problem.
The training too. They
Right.
train you
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
in that. you
Right.
know.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Well, let
You
me
know-
ask you. Oh, go ahead, Ali. I'm
I
sorry.
was just going to say, just to piggyback on what Smoke was saying. When Karen first approached me about this idea, I thought it was outstanding.
Yeah.
The topic was outstanding, but there's so many different legs that this particular
they are.
topic has
Really
that
is.
can take you into different
Oh,
different
yeah.
areas and different arenas.
Right.
And one was just piggyback on what Smoke said. Our wives,
Oh, yeah.
they can tell they weren't there in the war. They weren't in the military. They did not train like we did.
Right.
They did not see the things that they did. What they're getting is the after effects.
Yeah.
My wife can sit here and talk to you about at least an hour on my sleeping arrangements, meaning how I sleep and the things that come back to me. Smoke's wife can do the same thing.
Sure.
So that's another part that I feel very strongly that the military, the VA has not addressed.
Yes, sir.
And I almost said no to Karen because I knew what it was going to do to me.
It was drudge up some things you didn't
just
want to
brought up
remember.
things because when I left Vietnam, I worked at getting rid of all of the thoughts in my head.
Yeah.
And people would ask me 5 years later, I couldn't even tell them what unit I was. Didn't want to. I didn't want to remember any of that crap. I really didn't.
Yeah.
So I mean, because that's part of once again, that's post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
And I didn't even know it. 30 years after working for the State Department of Health, a buddy of mine came up and told me, he said, man, you know, why you got such an attitude about stuff? I said, I have no attitude, man.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, you too. Dude, why don't you start coming to class and be using the military, why don't you? I said, yeah. I said, what kind of class? For PTSD? I didn't have PTSD, man. What's wrong with you? You know?
That wasn't a word yet.
No, it
No.
wasn't.
That
No, it
that
wasn't.
just came out. They had
No,
to
it
find a way
wasn't.
to just find
Right.
out what our mental
Right.
states were at that
Right.
time.
Right.
Disorder.
Post-stress
Syndrome.
traumatic
Post-stress
syndrome,
traumatic
Yeah.
disorder.
PTSD.
Post disorders.
Yeah.
And we got it in varying levels.
Right.
And like Ali said, the sheer fact that, you know, Smoke's a professional entertainer, we're all in television, Ali's a professional entertainer, we can keep this on topic. But we could still be on the first question.
Absolutely.
Right, we should be.
If we had
Absolutely.
time. This would have to be a marathon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it was streamed
Absolutely.
live. But I just want to start bringing some things up. We've got to start wrapping it up. You know, we got some medals here that Karen could talk about in post. We got some Purple Hearts. We got all kind of medals that these brothers have achieved during their time in the military. And you know, I want to wrap back around to the brother Tyrone, and let's think about it from another perspective. Smoke gets entitled benefits from the VA. we have been grandfathered to be able to get benefits from the VA. Do you think the VA system does enough for brothers like Tyrone who are homeless and disabled? Or are they just another branch of the government that's just trying to keep that government money coming in? Do you think they do it? Let me start with my experience. I like the military's medical systems because they're thorough. You know, now I'm comparing this to doctors who want to treat you in 10 minutes. At least when I go in the VA, there's a camaraderie. Ali and I went down there and shot. You walk through them halls in that VA hospital, them brothers are sitting around playing checkers. You feel a sense of honor.
Right.
Just as just us. They speaking, what's up, bro? How you doing? You feel safer in that hospital talking to your colleagues than you do walking down the street on Woodland Avenue. But the VA as a whole, Ali Hackett, I'm gonna ask you first. How do you think the system is for educating, housing, employment, any of that stuff when it comes to veterans?
That's sort of a tough question. I mean, I can certainly answer it on both sides of the track, but I think my final answer would be I don't think that they've done enough.
My brother.
Otherwise, there wouldn't be guys sitting in the lobby all day long, every day, playing
right.
chess.
That's right.
Okay? All day long, every day, playing chess. This is their home.
That's
Where
right.
these guys go. They're there when the doors open at 8 o'clock at night, and they leave when the doors close at 5.
That's
and
right.
they sit there and play chess and checkers all day. So no, I don't think it's enough done.
I agree.
I think they do much more since President Barack Obama got in office.
Well, it's him who allowed us to even get into the VA.
Yes.
It was before that. It was for Persian Gulf
Yeah,
cats and stuff like
yes.
that. Yeah.
Because, you know, even with me, I received, was there for 2 years, but I received 50% of my benefits. So that means that the only thing that I don't receive is the dental,
The dental, yeah.
which I pay for myself. But
Right.
so far as, you know, your eyes, I got an operation on my eyes. I could have got it through the VA, but I had insurance.
Took it
So
another
I got it,
direction.
I got the operation through them. So, you know, it was a lot that I was getting that, and from the service, like with the housing, you know, you got your
Your
GI
home loan.
bill,
Yeah,
your home
yeah.
loan. Which I never used, but I'm
I
actually
did.
looking
I'm
into
living
that.
it now.
When I went into the service, I was a high school dropout, and by being there, I was able to benefit from the programs that they had for GED. So
Okay.
when I came out, I had my GED and was able to go to a professional school, photography, or wherever I wanted to go.
Good deal.
So, you know, I couldn't get that out here with fear of my life and fighting and, you know,
Gotcha.
and that. So it's always that good and that bad.
Always,
Right.
always.
You know,
always.
that you
Always.
you know, it's
And the
just how you
unfortunate part,
approach.
James, we're all saying the same thing. We all have good and bad. We
Mhm.
can't just see all good
Right,
Yeah.
right.
with our own
Right.
individual lives.
Right.
Mr. Smoke, give
Right.
us your last word.
Well, some of the guys that I knew, once I was blessed with knowing that there were places you could go to get help. The help I didn't even know I needed until I
Yeah.
got to class, and
Yeah.
I figured out, you know,
Yeah.
I've been taking this out on my wife,
Yeah.
my family, my friend. I've been acting like just because of. I finally found a place to go to get this and realized I want to share this with others because the person that brought me into these classes was at Fort Dix.
Mhm.
After 30 years of fighting with myself, I'm a better person now because of these classes. I can say
Yeah.
that.
I've been to some classes too.
Yep.
But and I tried to share them with others because the person that brought me in said, "I'm gonna buy you breakfast, man, and we're gonna talk, and I'm gonna take you to class. But the only thing you have to do is you have to share with somebody else." Even trying to share with some of my best friends, they didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to hear that they may have PTSD. Okay, you might. I tell you what, just come to class, and you were over there. You were in a worse position than I was. I was in an artillery unit, but you was in a worse position. You was out in the field there all the time.
Bush beater.
You understand?
Yeah.
But you deserve to get some type of a payment from the government.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to come to class because they didn't want nobody to know that they had PTSD.
Yeah.
You don't
It's-
want
You're embarrassed by it.
Because they say
it's
you're crazy.
shameful. You're embarrassed. You're
You know what I'm
embarrassed.
saying? They think
Yeah.
it's shameful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's recognized that there's places you can go, but you have to be open for it.
Yeah.
And the people that have it already have to be willing to share.
Also, hearing loss, you know,
Oh, I got
from
that.
the
Artillery.
shells and
Artillery shells,
everything.
yeah.
You know,
Artillery unit too?
yeah, I
You
was
know,
able to go and get classes and find help to deal with that because that tinnitus,
Yeah.
you know, that
Yeah.
ear ringing
all the time.
is, yeah, it's,
All the time.
Well, brothers, we're going to wrap this
good.
up, man. Like Ali said when we came in here, we need a part 2 because we only got through half, and we just heating up because we finally got comfortable enough to talk about this.
Yeah, it's
in
not an
real
easy
form.
topic.
It's not an easy
It's not
topic,
really an easy topic.
especially for cats that's been through it.
Yeah.
But you know, we want to thank Karen Walker for bringing
Yeah,
us in,
absolutely.
giving us a voice,
Thanks, Sharon.
letting us talk about this. Thank Brother Walter Wimbley for directing this piece.
Thanks, Walt.
And you know, thank Brother Tyrone for sharing his
Absolutely.
story.
Thank you, Tyrone.